everyone, it's Tony Tonkin here from the Child Protection Party. Hope you can be with us tonight to have a chat. Tonight's aim, so Avery and I have not organised anything for tonight, which is probably not unusual for us because often we don't organise anything anyway, as is probably evident from most of our conversations. So just to kick the ball off, I'll just invite Avery on board to say hello. Hi, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent.
I know we always start the same way, but at least you're not piling on the superlatives like you used to. I could never live up to it.
Well, I just must say, Avery, you are a legend. There are just people in the Child Protection Party who I was talking to someone today who was telling me that you're the most easiest bloke they've ever known to speak to. How's that?
Oh,
and
that is very nice to hear.
The disappointing thing about that was it was a client of mine, so clearly they didn't think I was all that crash hot. So it just seemed to be a little bit offensive.
Yeah.
But so things are going well with the party really at the moment, aren't they? We've got and the foundation. Yeah. We can talk about the foundation at the same time. Things seem to be motoring along quite comfortably, really.
They do. I've been busy. Most of the work I've been doing just recently has been to do with the making sure that we are compliant with the Charities Act for the hopefully soon to be announced. Riley Foundation is now a registered charity. We don't know yet. It's some time away, but we're hoping to be able to tell everybody very soon. Yep, we've done it.
And we've been making a few inroads, I think, and it's really helpful to let people know that the party itself is progressing. We're probably not progressing. We're progressing in terms of an organisation, namely our structure, our aims, our objectives, and the foundation certainly is moving along in terms of getting people on board to help us out with regard to that. Hi, Stephanie. Good morning to you, wherever you might be. It's
Stephanie in Illinois, if I remember correctly.
Stephanie, it is just fabulous to have you on board. I hope that our accents aren't too much of a strain on your ears, but we're Aussies, mate, and we talk like friggin', So don't try to read our lips because that won't work.
Yeah. G'day, Stephanie.
G'day, Steph. Great to have you on board, mate. Hope you're enjoying the show.
How would you like to join us, Stephanie, and tell us about life in Illinois? Yeah,
good point. We can send you a link. You can join in, which means I've got to mess around with my software in order to get that to happen, but we'll do that. I won't have a problem with that. So if you want to join us, Steph, please let us know. And Steph, if you want to share it and share it to other people as well, so that we could have more people in the United States and I know that in the US there's a lot of people interested in the issues around child protection, and I know that there is not a child protection party in the US because they're so entrenched in the two-party system that you probably couldn't get a third party even if you tried, particularly around kids. So enjoys our voices. You're the only you're the only one that do, Steph, and we love you for it. Believe me. Okay, so one of the other things I wanted to have a chat about, Avery, was that. It's just gone.
Before you do, Stephanie says, "Are you sure? Are we sure that we'd like to speak to you?" Yes, we are, Stephanie.
And tonight's session, this morning's session, wherever you might be in the world, because it's 11 past 7 p.m. on Tuesday here, Steph. So we're ahead of you. It's the only time we're ever ahead of the United States, except when it comes to the virus. So I thought actually one of the things I did think about, Avery, was just to get the conversation going, was to talk about where we stand in Australia in relation to the virus. And I did, because I did have a heading prior to the one I put up, just saying that we're thinking of you and we hope that you're all safe, particularly our friends in Victoria, where they had another massive number of infections recorded as of yesterday. today, rather. So I hope that everybody there is handling the isolation, because for those of you around the world who are now watching this show, I want you to understand that here in Australia we've been doing very well around the virus, but those bloody Victorians, they just can't be trusted at football. Now we know that they can't be trusted in terms of a virus as well, because they have an outbreak there that is pretty horrific, and we're all brothers and sisters in this place, and we just wish you all well, no matter where you are. And particularly, I just want to say now that we've got Steph, 4:30 a.m. Wow, Steph, you're up early. And we just want to thank, or just let everybody know around the world that we're thinking of you, particularly our friends in the United States, where you're suffering an incredible blow in relation to the virus. And that's no fault of your own. And I won't say that it's the fault of the person that's running your country, but it is.
I will.
So, and oh God, Avery, and you will. I was trying not to be. Look, the people that watch may be Trumpers, and that's okay. We'll accept any particular version of life that you care to muster, even if it's that one. So they're not doing very well in Victoria, and they've locked it down as they should have. And I don't know what you think of Daniel Andrews. Avery, you got a comment about him?
As far as COVID is concerned, I don't think he's done too bad a job. I think a lot of it is. I think a lot of it is people not doing what a lot of the people in the United States are doing, saying masks. Why do I need a mask? I'm not so. I'm not convinced that he's done a bad job. I'm not. I don't think he's done an excellent job.
He did have the issue with the security guard, I think, and the security guard system that they had in Victoria, which was our minor equivalent to calling out the National Guard in the United States. Yeah. But it didn't seem to work out because they were pretty disorganised and they weren't trained appropriately and all that sort of stuff. So it hadn't worked out well for him. But, man, I believe it or not, and it's not because it's Labor, believe me, and it's, it wouldn't matter to me. I think Marshall here in South Australia has done a reasonable job as well. So it doesn't matter about your politics, but it doesn't matter about how you can organise your government to be able to deal with such a horrific thing as the coronavirus.
Yeah, I think that here in South Australia, Marshall and the Liberals and the Labor have done a really good job, much better, I think, than in Victoria or New South Wales. I think they've done a really good job protecting us.
Yeah, yeah. And Steph says, look, we can have a conversation with Steph on just on comments.
All of these people here are corrupt.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you there. Depends on which person you're talking about, of course. But I think that one of the things that does concern me is that about the Daniels thing, and this is quite fascinates me that, Avery, when we're confronted by something like a virus that's kind of wiping us out in a way, wiping us out in terms of offering us certain challenges, I get concerned that people start just when things aren't going well, they attack. Now I'm wary that in Trump world tends to be what happens as well. So I'm choosing my words very carefully here, but I do believe that we need to be wary of just attacking someone because things start to fall apart. It's not about how they fall apart; it's about how you choose to repair them. That's the issue. Do you understand what I mean? Like, if things continued to fall apart and Andrews, for example, chose to ignore it and think about the financial side of things and the economy more than he did about people's well-being, then I would be concerned and I'd be throwing my hands up in horror.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big difference between Andrews and Trump. Is that Trump basically he called it a hoax a few months ago. Within a few weeks of the states, the different states putting in the mask orders and the social distancing and stuff like that. He was saying open everything up, and all of a sudden things went absolutely ballistic, and it's almost an exponential growth that you've got going on in the United States, in a lot of the states now. I mean, the curve just went.
Yeah, and that I like this idea. So we're talking a lot about the United States, but a lot of that applies here as well. So it's not like, believe me, folks, if you're in the United States, it's not like it's just about the United States.
No.
Because the politics seems to be the same no matter where you are. But in the US, they were saying that initially the son-in-law of Mr. Trump, what's his name again?
Kushner.
Oh, Krishna, is it? Yeah, I know.
Kushner.
Yeah, Kushner. Yeah, like Hari Krishna. Is that the bloke?
That's the guy. Yeah.
Right. So Kushner decided that they were going to have, because he's an expert in everything. You know, that's the difference between the American system than ours, is that we have an expert in nothing. They have experts in everything. If you notice that? Yep. So he was the expert in everything, and he was to set up a committee. But when they decided a coronavirus committee, and when they set it up and they realised that the virus was only attacking democratic states like New York and New Jersey, I guess, they decided it wasn't worth the fight, because it was the Democratic governors that were going to be punished for whatever happened. Yeah. And lo and behold, it was the Democratic states that wound up dealing with it, and it come out okay, reasonably speaking, and the Republican states are now suffering. I wonder what that tells us.
Well, it's one of the differences, again, between what's happened in the US and what's happened here, and in the UK as well. It's places like Germany and Sweden and whatever, is that in the US, it's been politicized.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been the case in the UK or here or New Zealand, Germany, Sweden, etc.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. I just know. Did you see that Karen Gale Glissod? Did you see that response?
I just saw that. I was going to ask. I was going to suggest that you might want to respond to that.
Yeah, I'm laughing my head off. I think it's a funny thing to say. I love. See, this is the other thing. I love it when people make comment. Like tonight, we decided that we're going to talk about whatever it was that came into mind. We didn't have an agenda. And we had Steph come on board, God bless her, and we talked to her about whatever it is we could talk about, which is the fact that she's in the US. And then someone else drops on, Avery, though, and says that, okay, so let's just read out the post. I've got to get this. I've got part of this software that I use that can bring up those comments so we can see them. But Child Protection, so people watching can have a look at it. It says, Child Protection Party is just a joke. Fabulous. I'm glad to know that we're humorous. I think it's fascinating that people think that we're funny. I know of many families suffering from children being taken and the department lying in court to get what they want. Your party was no help whatsoever. Karen, I don't even know who you are. And I don't know what help you had asked from us. So I'm happy to have that conversation with you if you want. But then it raises that other issue, Avery, that we often talk about in terms of the foundation, and that is, the expectations. So, Karen, I will ask you to tell us in a matter of transparency, because that's what we're about, to tell us what it is that you think we could have done for you that clearly we didn't do for you from your perspective, because that is how we learn. So, Karen, we're not like the department, right? So if you're confronted with the department and you tell them what it is that they're not doing right, they're not going to listen to you or change the way that they work. We're different. We will listen to you, and we will modify our behaviour if our behaviour was unhelpful to you. So if there's something, and look, quite often, Karen, I'm the first one to admit that sometimes a lot of the time, in fact, I just don't get it right. I might say or do the wrong thing. I might choose not to send an email off when perhaps I should have. I may have responded differently and sent a complaint off when perhaps I shouldn't have worded it the way that I did. I might have said something to another social worker in the department that perhaps I shouldn't have said. I quite often mess up. I get that. But when it comes to clients and I mess up and I don't, and what we're doing they deem is not helpful to us as a social worker, that's a problem for me. So we're open, Karen, for you to tell us what it is that we did. And I want you to tell you this, and I'll tell you this much, Karen, if you choose not to respond and not to say anything, and I'm watching the comments now, but if you choose not to say anything, I know that it didn't matter to you because you really don't want it fixed. It's like, Avery, I had someone call me earlier today who, Avery, you're back on screen. Just thought I'd let you know that.
Oh, I was just
typing something up.
Yeah, just typing something up there for if she wants to write to us and tell us. There, she can send it to us. That.
Oh, right. Thanks,
there.
I had someone speaking to me today about a particular individual, and I was saying, and all they ever do is complain about how hard done by they are, and at no point do they take responsibility for any of the things that they have done that has created the problem that they have. And you know, seriously, mate, one of those is when people talk about, when people are accused of violence and that they're violent towards another partner, and I'm not going to genderify this at all, but it doesn't matter who it is. If a party is violent towards another party and believes that the other party, the victim, is the problem, and they're not prepared to address their behaviour, then the chances of you having your kids back, if you're prepared to do nothing about the issue, it just staggers me that people will think that somehow, because I feel so aggrieved that my kids are taken, but I choose to do nothing about the problem that got them taken in the first place, then that I should just somehow, miraculously and amazingly, get my kids returned to me. The system just doesn't work that way. You know? It
certainly doesn't. And I mean, I've got to go back to Karen Gay's comment there. The thing I was doing when you said I was back on the camera, one of the things I was doing, I should say, was just searching my Riley Foundation and party email to see if we'd ever been contacted by her, and the answer is never. You say that I'm pretty good. People like to hear me talk and things like that. I'm not psychic.
Well, you should be. And why aren't you?
Yeah, okay. I'll take that hit. I should be psychic. I should have known that. I should know that people out there have got a problem, and I should be able to psychically decide who they are and contact them. And so should you, Tony.
And what's more important, Avery, that magic wand that we have. You know, the one that we can say, okay, you're a fabulous person. You were aggrieved by your children being removed. I'm going to wipe this right over the problem so that all the workers at the department will think that the sun shines out of your ass, and then you can now have your kids back. That wand I'm talking about, I broke that years ago. It got overused, I think, and was worn out and collapsed. So there's no magic solution. The best solution, Avery, comes from those people who choose to do the work. You know, those who sit down and understand what the problem is and then say, okay, these are the things that I need to do. Now, there are some occasions, though, where I think kids are removed and they just shouldn't be removed, period. And I appreciate that, and I think that sometimes the department makes some crappy decisions. And I've spoken about that 1,000 times here. But there are many times also when, you know, parents have stuffed up, and, you know, there does need to be some form of an intervention. And when that happens and the kids are removed, that is about the parent making a decision about how they need to change their behaviour. It's not rocket science.
It isn't. It isn't. Karen Gay has replied. She said that we could have helped her son. His children were taken, and a solicitor, you, Tony, told him to go to, and the solicitor was thrown out of court.
So am I the solicitor?
Well, I don't know. I think that this son, whoever this happens to be, I don't know. Karen Gay hasn't said so.
Well,
hasn't said his name.
Karen, I stand corrected. I don't know of any solicitor that I've referred any client to that has been thrown out of court. And I can assure you that if a solicitor was thrown out of court, it had nothing to do with me. That is the solicitor acting badly. And what's more, if you'd told us about that, and I don't believe you have because I can't remember that incident, if you told us about that, I would have made sure I had never referred anyone else to that solicitor. So I'm not responsible for what solicitors do. I am responsible, though, for referrals to people that I believe will represent you appropriately. And if I referred you to someone that didn't, I apologise for that, and we could have corrected that by finding a better solicitor for you. But I don't know your case.
Her unknown son has spoken with you, apparently.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That could be that could be one of 1,000 people, Karen.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just say one other thing? I'd like JJ Heyer has said, I'd like to thank the Child Protection Party, both Tony Tonkin and Avery Hilditch have been there for us and given good advice when we've needed it. Thank you, JJ.
And I
appreciate that. I know Tony does too.
I think, yeah, I do. And JJ is wonderful. And I think that, we do the best we can. And it's, for some parents, will probably never be good enough. But sometimes all parents want is just support. Someone that understands their situation, are prepared to sit with them in meetings with the department, and who will stand up for them when need be. Today I sent 2 emails off to social workers, putting forward the case for the client. Now, to me, that is the best I can do. I get challenged just as much by the social workers about who I am as the client does sometimes. Like Avery, the other I can't get that changed. The other day, Avery, I was at a meeting with a couple of social workers, and I've been in with this one social worker before. Now, I don't wish to sound like I'm ageist, right? Because I'm old, I'm allowed to be a little ageist, because most people I know are younger than me, except for you, Avery. There you go. So, yeah. So most people that I know happen to be younger. So, but in this particular case, these were particularly young people, no older than my daughters, I guess. And they questioned me about. So I was actually doing some therapeutic work with the client, but I was in the room advocating for her as well. And they couldn't understand, just could not, and I get this all the time, that I can do 2 things at once. So I can be in a meeting with the department and the client, and I can have a conversation with them about what they're doing in relation to the client, what's fair, what isn't fair, all that sort of stuff. But I can't also see the client individually and talk about her emotional distress. I can't. Apparently, I can't do those 2 things. But interestingly enough, they're going to inquire into it to see whether I can or not. Jesus Christ. I think, give me a break. And the annoying thing is, I don't want to bring ageism into it either, but here we go. But I've been at this business for 30 years. The combined service of these 2 people in the room would be no greater than 6 or 7. I reckon.
Yeah.
But, somehow... So like when parents talk to us about the inequities that sit within the system and how they feel betrayed and belittled and humiliated by the system, I can tell you, I get the same. I don't get it to the same extent because it's not about my kids, so I understand that. But Jesus Christ, leave me alone, because because believe me, if you try and have a go at me in that sense, I will. So an issue came up today about one of those women in that room, in terms of a child in Aboriginality, and so I'm sending an email off to her and the minister, complaining about the fact that they haven't considered the child's Aboriginality. Now, had she chosen to be a little bit more pleasant, perhaps we could have had a conversation about that and resolved the issue. But no, she's burnt her bridge. So now I'm going to have to escalate it, and it's going to be probably more uncomfortable for her than ever. So So, Karina's on board.
I just saw that.
Thanks, Karina.
Yeah.
Baby, Karina, if you're prepared to come on board at some point and have a conversation with us, we'd love it.
Yeah. As you were talking there, I was looking through the comments, and this is better than an Agatha Christie novel. This mystery. I mean, he was representing the party. Karen Gay's son was representing our party.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Well, that would be you or Colin. It can't be Nadia. You know.
I think Karen. I think you're barking up the wrong tree, and I think you may have the wrong party in mind.
Yeah.
There have been a couple of parties around that have attempted to do what we're doing. None of them have been as successful as us, I care to say, Avery.
Yeah,
but
I mean, one of the things that Karen Gay says there is tragic, is that one of the children is hemiplegic cerebral palsy, and I really feel for her, for her son. It's a horrible thing for anybody to have.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely.
He dotes on his father now. He can only see them once per month until they're 18. That is tragic. But as I said, I see every email that comes in with people asking for help. And I don't recognize that name. I don't know. I don't recognize the name Karen Gay Clissold. I don't know who her son is, so I don't know whether we've ever dealt with him at all.
And Avery,
Karen's not telling us the name.
I do need to say, I'm not minimising Karen's experience at all.
No, definitely not.
Not minimising her experience. Karen, whatever your experience is, seems to be horrific. And if we were able to support you around any of that, we would. But I think you've got the wrong people in this case. Yeah. So, but if you care to private message Avery, perhaps, and let him know what the current situation was and who the people were, perhaps we can sift through it and work it out.
Yeah, I've put the email address up there in that thread where Karen Gay can write to me. Admin at childprotection.party. Write to us and we can look into it.
And Karina is Indigenous, incidentally, not Karen, Karina.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Karina, we have been working to do something in terms of developing policies and so forth for Indigenous people, by Indigenous people, not by us, but by Indigenous people. So if you wish to contact Avery and get onto that committee, which is being run by Clinton in Western Australia, then please do so, because we'd love to have you involved in that. And you're right. I've talked about systemic racism in the department before. I've actually I remember I had a meeting once and I told them that they were being racist. They didn't take too kindly to it, I hasten to add. They were a bit distressed at me. But there is an undercurrent of systemic racism within the department. And it's very disappointing, because today the social work student I have working with me was going through the Child Protection and Young Persons Act, whatever it is called here in South Australia, and we were having a look at the Aboriginal part of the Act, which certainly states here in South Australia that if you're of Aboriginal descent, you need to have representation from the PAC worker, which is the Aboriginal consultant. And you need to certainly, it doesn't say that in the legislation though, but it does say that, in terms of placement, the child should be placed primarily with someone who has a sense of the Aboriginal culture, preferably an Aboriginal person. But rarely do they do that, because they have trouble finding those people, or for some reason they have so deep-rooted racist beliefs that they choose not to put them with family because they're black. I reckon it's just that simple. But they'll never admit to it, or because the other thing that amazes me, Avery, is because there's a history. So I had this person. I had a really busy. I'm just reflecting on my day, mate. I had a really busy day today. I really did. But I had someone contact me who was a grandparent who wanted to have access to a child that was taken a few weeks ago at birth, I hasten to add, Indigenous kid. And they hadn't looked at her, who's non-Indigenous, I need to say, but they hadn't looked at her because there was some stuff in her past, like a long time ago, about a previous partner that she had that was unsavoury, which she had dealt with at the time and had resolved. Yet, because it sat there in her past, they would not consider her as a kinship carer. How bizarre is that? Like, you know, she could be Mother Teresa, and no one would, you know, and she wouldn't get the child, no matter what. So, you know, I don't know. The whole system amazes me. But
yes,
that's why we're here. You know,
yeah.
Why, Avery, this is because, you know, like, regardless of what Karen says, and, you know, again, my heart goes out to her seriously. But,
yeah,
you know, we are doing our best, and there are times we fail, you know, and there are times we kind of, well, actually, this is true. We never give up. Never.
Yep.
I have never, ever, that's not true. I think maybe once or twice. So over 30 years, thousands of clients, once or twice I've given up on a client. That's it. And that's probably because they were threatening, and they threatened violence, I think.
Well, we definitely don't want that.
But, you know, out of all the people I've seen, I reckon it's a pretty good record. I'm pretty proud of that, actually.
Yeah.
You know, I've worked with angry men and whatever, and I've never been assaulted. I've been confronting. No one's never taken me out the back and beaten the shit out of me. But, you know, because as a party, we believe in everybody's rights. So it doesn't matter what the circumstances are that brings you to the party or to the foundation in the first place. You know, we're gonna work our best to correct whatever the situation is, and that situation, Avery, sits on two sides. So one of those sides is you've got issues that need to be dealt with, so that it can be a better parent, whatever, blah blah blah. On the other side, you've got the department and their views of you that need to be corrected, so that they can see you differently, so that the possibility of having your child returned to you is increased, right? Those two sides must work. We must find a way to work them together. You know, how would it be if we had a child protection system that said, we acknowledge that there are some issues, but we also deep down know that you are a good person and you can meet the issues that are of concern and resolve them. How good would that be? I tell you what, Avery, 65% of the kids that are in care would be returned if we just viewed it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Can't argue that at all. No.
Feel free. Someone will.
Yeah. Somebody will, but JJ said the best is all that you can do, guys. Yeah. Yeah,
and you know, we don't want to. I mean, I feel like I'm sitting here justifying myself. We really don't need to justify ourselves at all. The number, what we do need to do. Hold on, this is it. Avery, what we need to do is we need to elect someone into Parliament around Australia. Do you reckon is this a novel idea to you? I'm just curious.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Oh, okay. So
what gave you that idea that we could do that?
Well, I thought, why don't we start a political party that could actually change legislation? So
yeah, what would we call it?
How's this resonating with you? Is this a good idea? Do you reckon we could put
it's a great idea. I'm just wondering what we might call it. Call this party.
Well, there have been issues around the name, so let's not go there. But let's think about child protection. So let's think about protecting all children, right? So who are the most vulnerable people in our community?
And it's children and people my age.
Yeah, absolutely, and also you in particular. But you know, we need to be able to represent just the voiceless people. So those people that are most vulnerable. So that's the people that are low socioeconomic backgrounds, that are uneducated, where there's drug issues, domestic violence, women particularly escaping DV, mental health issues, and the kids that are impacted by all of that. That's who we're there to help, or to advocate for, or to put, to have. So if we had, back to my original point, Avery, if we had 4 or 5 people around this country in federal parliament, right? 4 or 5, that's all there is. Out of, how many people in Australia now? 25 million?
24 and a half, nearly 25 million, yeah.
On last count. So if we had that many, if we had, out of all of that population, we could just find 5 people, maybe. What a difference we would make.
Yeah. That's
federally. What if in each state, we had one person from each state representing the child protection? What a difference would that make?
So we could do that if people were to go to the www.childprotection.party, click the join us link and join the party. Membership starts at $12 per year, $1 a month, and everybody as well. So
why? Yeah, but Avery, that's the point, isn't it? The point is, if you want to criticise us, and you're sitting on your ass doing nothing, then don't criticise us. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to do something about us and to be active, join us. Become a part of what we believe in. And that will make a difference. But if you're like, it just reminds me so much of those clients that sit back and expect us, me and you and others, to do all the work. And they have to sit back and do nothing but complain about the fact that their kids have been removed. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to get off your... Does it?
Yeah, it doesn't. I was going to say, it reminds me of the people that whinge and bitch about the government doing this and the government doing that, and then you find out that they never voted. Well, if you're not going to vote, shut up.
Yeah. Or those people... oh, God, shall we get on to the virus?
I've got to bring up something that Brad Hart brought up, something that he said. Over 30% of children removed are Aboriginal. That is one of the reasons why we need Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people to work with Clinton in Western Australia to develop a policy around Indigenous people to try and do something about that absolutely repugnant number.
Because they are only 2% of the population.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Think about it. A third of the kids that are taken away from their parents are only 2% of the population.
Back to the United States, they talk about, it is disproportionate the way African Americans are arrested, thrown in jail, etc., whatever. But the percentage of African Americans out of the 334 million that live in the United States is much higher than the percentage of Aboriginals that live in the country that their ancestors have lived in for the past 60,000 years. And you look at that, 30% of 2% might not sound like a lot, right? 2% of the population, that's, I can't do the math in my head right now. 2% of the population is not a huge number when you look at the whole population, but when 30% of their kids are being taken away, that is, it's disgusting. There's no excuse for it.
Is 2% like 50,000?
Well, 1% of 24 million would be knock off a couple of 240,000, about 500,000.
500,000 then. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was never good at maths. There you go. Just proved it. But the fact is that it's so few people in comparison to the rest of us. So, does racism exist in our department? Oh, I think it might. I think the figures indicate that. There's an interesting show which I would be watching. Probably I would have finished by now, which is aired by. I'm going to get all this wrong now that I've said this. So it's aired by the Hawke Centre, which is at the University of South Australia, on listening to children, Aboriginal children. So it was being played. I did sign up for it, but I had more important things to do, like talking to Avery. So, but it had Sam Grant, a woman from the Aboriginal Legal Rights Movement. It had an Indigenous woman from Canada talking about her situation. And it was basing it all on I don't know whether it's a movie or a documentary that's coming out in the next couple of days on Aboriginal kids and how they experience racism in Australia. And apparently it's pretty powerful. I wish I could remember. If I find it, we'll put it up on the website. When it becomes available, we'll let you know where it is, and you can have a look at it. Because we, as white people, got to stop putting our heads in the sand over what's happening for Indigenous people. And we need to support what they want, not what we want, but what they want.
Can I just say, the sorting out the issues that Aboriginal people here face is not something that's it's not unsolvable. The Inuit people in northeastern Canada they're like 1% of the population of Canada. They had a similar sort of rates of kids being taken into care, 25-30%, and I cannot remember the name of the woman. I wish I could. She a white woman, went up to Nunavut, which is a fantastic place to visit. If you ever get the chance to go to the far north of Canada, go there.
It's called Nunavut.
Nunavut, Nunuvat. Right, I spent 18 months up there. If you go, this woman went up to a place called Iqaluit, which is in, I think it's Baffin Island, and she worked with the Inuit people to say, what are the issues that you've got? What can I do for you? You tell me what you need, and we'll do it. And she listened to what they had. She went back to the Nunavut government and then to the federal government and said, this is what we need to do for the Inuit people. I've been talking with them. This is what they want us to do. And they did it. And the rates of kids being taken now from Inuit people is around 1.5 or 2%.
Wow, that's impressive.
I wish I could think of the name.
Why wouldn't we learn from that?
Yeah, I keep looking for the thing. It happened. This was maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago that I first learned about this, and it was before I got this computer, and I bookmarked the story. And when I got the new computer, for whatever reason, I forgot to bring that bookmark across.
Well, a common mistake, but you'll never do it again, Avery, because it's costing you. But JJ has asked a question, which was what's the percentage of children that are removed from people with intellectual disability? The question really should be, how many people have been identified by the department of having an intellectual disability, JJ? That's the question that needs to be asked. Not whether they've got an intellectual disability, because I work with a number of clients, including your partner, who I don't think do. And you know, the argument also is, even if you've got a slight disability, how does that impact your parenting necessarily? And one of the arguments is because you can't learn. I know that in case of JJ's partner, her learning around the courses that she's done has been outstanding, absolutely outstanding. You know, so it blows that theory out of the water. However, it's written in black and white by some psychologist in the department. So, you know, it's kind of reflecting what God says. You know, it's made in stone. It was cast down by Moses from the mountain, so it must be correct. What can I say? I knew you'd like that analogy, Avery.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
So, and it's the same sort of crap, you know. You hear it over and over again. Yeah, and they, you know, Angela's right. You know, they put, it's this labelling shit. You know, I was talking to a client, today as well, where, God, I had a busy day. And I was saying to her, you know, like, we're supposed to be talking about her mental well-being. And I'm saying, well, do we need to talk about a label that someone's given you? Why don't we just talk about what happened in your life and how that made you feel? And how it impacted you and the decisions that you made around that and all that sort of stuff. So we did. We didn't need to have a conversation about whether she had personality disorder or was bipolar, or it's just unnecessary, unless you want to wear that label for some particular fancy reason. But at the end of the day, the fact that someone who doesn't know you, really doesn't know you, and hasn't taken the time out to get to know you, is that person who identifies you as having some sort of label. So that, because the label is the thing that they carry with them like a banner, that they can carry it to court, and they can wave it around and let the judge know that this is actually who you are. The judge doesn't need to know who you are, really. He just needs to know what the department think or believe you are. So, I just find it's damn unhelpful.
Yeah. I've got one last comment before we go that I'd like to read out from Brad Hart. Love it. It's about parenting capacity, not parenting. All parents can learn to parent better, no matter what their abilities or challenges. Absolutely right.
Yep. And my kids are growing up, and there's much I wished I had learned. Too late now, but grandchildren are on the way, so watch out.
Yeah.
More
Tompkins in the world.
Yeah, more of us. My God, we actually in South Australia we've bred like rabbits. Western Australia and South Australia, Tonkins, they're just everywhere. I've got a family of cousins that there's so many of them we can't count them. I don't know if any of those watch our shows, but I certainly hope not, because
there's quite a lot of hill ditches in South Australia, and there's bucket loads in New South Wales as well, and we're all related.
Is there any significance between a hill and a ditch?
Well, I could tell you where the surname comes from, but I won't bother doing it here. But
I just think hill, ditch.
Okay, I'll tell you here. I'll tell you right now. It comes from two Saxon words. One that means a house, and the other that means a hill. A house on a hill.
Oh, okay. So somehow you're a house on a hill.
Yeah.
So that means
the name is it's like my name Avery is over 1,000 years old, and my surname is around 900 years old.
All right, so it sounds like you're trying to outlive your surname or your name, are you?
Yeah, trying to. I certainly look like it.
But I think it's a good analogy for you, though, that you're kind of like this structure sitting on a hill, overlooking, the rest of us, to make sure that we're safe. Yeah, you're kind of godlike, Avery. I just needed to say that, and I can see you're about to ascend, because we're about to leave this broadcast. So, hey, thank everybody for being on board. We've had a hell of a lot of numbers churning in.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of conversation. Good. Can you keep the conversation going? Avery and I take out our Tuesday nights to be with you, because our partners are screaming away in the other room, complaining that we're not spending time with them, but we will be shortly. But thanks, everybody, for being with us, and take care of yourself, and we've enjoyed the conversation. If you've got any issues, contact the foundation. I suggest, Avery, they go to the help page on the Riley Foundation. Yep.
www.theriley.foundation, and Riley is REILY. And then there's a thing at the top that says ask for help. Just click on that.
Yeah. Two things I want to say just before we go. And that is, I did do a post that's on things that matter. I don't know, Avery, whether you had a chance to see that the other day. Having a go at my favourite friend, Alan Jones.
Yes, I did.
We don't have very many people watching things that matter. There was one comment that did please me, that said, "I liked your presentation." They didn't. Yeah. I don't know. They didn't say they liked what I said. They just liked the presentation. So I felt very flattered by that, because that's what it's all about. It's not about what we say.
No, I just got a PM from Stacey saying you've gone off topic. Lol. Yes, Stacey, that's what we do.
Haven't people realised that yet?
Yeah.
That that this is an opportunity for us to just say our stuff. This is the equivalent of a notepad.
Yeah.
That us having a conversation is us writing notes to each other and having a conversation. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But the great thing is we invite other people in to have that conversation. The final thing I did want to say though was that we have at the foundation a couple of social work students working with us at the moment who will be taking your calls. Why are you laughing at that?
Oh, no, not like that. When I said that my name means a house on a hill, JJ replied and says Peppa Pig lives in a house on a hill.
Jay, remember JJ was the one at some point, some time back, who suggested we should always end with a joke?
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, JJ.
I think JJ did it for us. Well done.
Yeah.
So
going. Sign off.
So thanks, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Thanks, Avery. Great seeing you again, mate. Take care.
Welcome.
Bye.
Good talking to you all.